Before I begin, I too would like to start by acknowledging the claim of the Indigenous population to the Australian country, and particularly for me, coming from Coomera, the Yugambeh people whose land it is. Okay, so the first time that I ever was really able to talk to a big group of people happened in grade 4 for me. It was my school's public speaking competition, and our teachers gave us a whole bunch of different topics that we could talk from, and I chose this topic. It was called Imagine If, right? So I was thinking, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? There's so many places that I could take this topic, Imagine If. Being 9 years old at the time, I did the thing that I cared most about in the entire world. And my speech sounded a bit like this. It sounded like I got up there and I said, imagine if the world was made of candy. Imagine if the roads were carved from licorice, and the trees were just these logs of thick, solid chocolate that grew up from the ground. Now, at the time, I thought that my speech was the absolute epitome of quality literacy, right? I was a scrawny little kid with absolutely nothing to back me other than bunches of good grades, and I was invincible, right? I had this huge confidence in my public speaking ability, and I was going to win that competition. I ended up losing to this girl, Keely Banks, who I'm still friends with, shout out to her. But she also did her little talk on the topic of Imagine If, but she went a bit of a different direction to where I went. She went, and her speech sounded like, imagine if I was Anne Frank. Well, completely different, right? So that was the first talk that I'd ever made to a big group of people. But it was also the first time that I'd ever thought, hey, maybe I should be thinking of things that are bigger than just me. I mean, what was candy compared to the life of Anne Frank? So my journey to where I am today really only began a couple of months ago. For my prior years of existing, I'd been doing basically just that, existing. Going through the motions without really taking the time to appreciate the bigger picture in life. Recently, I've come to think of this concept as sort of sleepwalking through life, going through the motions but having my eyes closed and not really seeing everything that was happening around me. And as students, I know I can't blame being a student on this, but as students, we aren't heavily exposed to too much. We get written off as children, and then we get flooded with all these trivial responsibilities and insecurities. We wake up, we worry about how we look, what we're eating, maybe how we get to school, right? We get to school. We blur through our subjects, not really listening, but caring enough to make sure that we look like we're listening, so our teachers don't come and check that we're not playing video games on our laptops. Or in my case, 2 days ago, I was madly writing this, and so I could hand it in 3 days past the deadline. We get home, some of us worry about our homework, many of us worry about our lives, past, present, and future. I mean, I personally graduate this year, alongside some of the people who I've grown up with and have known my whole life. And I know that we're all just as scared as each other to see what happens after that final day, even though some of us pretend we aren't. Now, all of these things, they really do matter. Our lives aren't inconsequential just because we prioritize ourselves. So I guess the point of my speech today, and what I really hope everyone back home is watching and getting from this Durham Festival, is that by beginning to care about some truly terrible things in the world, you can expand your mind and present yourself with opportunities which shape the way that you see the world. So a couple months ago, I got super lucky, and well, at the time I didn't think I was lucky, but I got thrown into this program with a visiting speaker who talked to us, and his seminar was about making a change. Before I even actually went into any classroom, I went straight away, found my teacher and started complaining. Oh, I can't go to this program. It'd be eating into my study periods. I need my study periods to study for my exams so that I can get a good ATAR, so I can get into a good uni course, and so that I can get a scholarship, so I wouldn't be living with this huge student debt that would be hanging over me for the rest of my life. Well, for a long period of it anyway. But you see where I'm going about this whole caring about the needs of just me. I still went, I didn't manage to get out of it, and I was extremely skeptical at first. But at some stage, sitting in that room, my whole mentality shifted from, oh, far out, I have to be here, into, well, I'm here, I may as well start paying attention. And then at some point it hit, wow, I'd never really thought of it like that. So fast forward a couple of weeks, I get this email saying, hey Arena, we're thinking about putting together this social justice festival in Brisbane around August. Would you consider being a student host? What? I ghosted. I completely avoided and did not reply to any emails for the next couple of months, actually, because it just felt so unrealistic. Here I am, some 17-year-old kid, completely lost and mind-boggled about what I'm even going to do with my own life. What on earth would allow me to be standing up here and talking to and about people who are so passionate and inspiring, right? I mean, clearly my track record, grade 4 talks, was not going to back me up in being someone that spoke about deeper issues. And what I'm trying to say is that I know that this is not a unique experience. It's universal. We all sometimes feel overwhelmed and insignificant, especially when we're confronted with some of the big real-world issues that we've talked about today. But if you really think about it, each one of our speakers that we've had up here talking is just really the proof in the pudding that anything is possible. If you think about it, they've all been in our position once. Just a person who at one instance thought, what can I do to make a change? We just have to start somewhere. So I stand before you today talking about something that means the world to me and is so incredibly important, I believe, but that may not change a single thing in your life. I have no clue how many people were watching this, who's watching this, and I guess you can tell because I've been rambling a lot. I'm extremely nervous wreck. And so even though it's terrifying, it's so incredibly freeing and assuring to know that I am taking steps to become a better person by caring just enough to do even a little something. To put it plainly, nothing at all qualifies me to be here, other than that I care enough to do more than just sit by. And you could too.